the ball was advertised as the next step in basketball revolution, a ball that did not need to be broken in, and a consistent basketball that will feel the same and bounce the same regardless of condition and surface, something that couldn't have been said for the traditional leather ball. However, in an article by Mark Stein.
All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you all are having a good night so far. Hope you guys had a good day. I wanted to check out this video here. It's called the NBA basketball that was hated by every player. This is by a channel, Woo Hoops. I've only reacted to one of his videos, and I remember really enjoying it. And this seems to be like a new incoming basketball YouTuber, and I found it very informing, and the production was really good, and all of you guys seem to enjoy it in the comments as well. So here we are with another one, and with another topic that I'm intrigued with, and I'm not so sure I know about this. So I'm always down for learning new stuff. Let's see what the NBA basketball that everybody hated was all about. As I always do, I'm going to leave the link down below for the original video. Once again, this is Woo Hoops, and yeah, he's got about 17,000 subscribers. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you know, a subscribe goes a long way over there. Give him a little shout out, and yeah. Without further ado, I think let's get into this. I don't have much to say on an intro because I'm not sure what this is exactly about. So the talking will happen during the video. Yeah. So anyways, leave this video a like. It helps out a ton, and I appreciate it every time. Let's do this.
In the 2006-2007 NBA season, David Stern will make one of the most controversial decisions in league history, changing the official basketball for the first time in 35 years. A move that angered the entire league.
Professor, we got issues with this ball.
But what led him to this decision? And did you know that the legacy of the new basketball still lives on to this day? This is a story that you have to see to believe.
Okay, I do remember this ball. And I remember everybody hated it, but I don't remember enough about it. I don't remember when it got eliminated. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
To begin, we must go all the way back to the 1983-1984 NBA season.
Interesting.
The 1983-1984 NBA season was a very memorable one for the league. Upon the beginning of the season, Spalding was signed a deal with the NBA to replace Wilson as the official game ball. This would be the first brand change to the official NBA ball since the league's inception in 1946. And in February of the same season, David Stern would replace Larry O'Brien as the new NBA commissioner. 2 months after Stern's inauguration would come one of NBA's greatest achievements to date, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar breaking the all-time scoring record.
Right hand, 12-footer, good!
I love that he did it on a skyhook too.
This man has accomplished something that I don't believe, and I mean this sincerely. I don't think this will ever happen again.
As if the league wasn't rising quick enough, 2 months later would come the most iconic draft of all time. In the span of under a year, the league has completely transformed itself. New commissioner, new ball, new all-time scoring leader. Oh, and did I mention
MJ.
New face of the league?
Yep, MJ
Chicago
coming
Bulls pick Michael Jordan of the University of North Carolina.
So Michael Jordan, who...
Now back to the subject of the new Spalding basketball. This is what it looked like, front and back. Now keep that in mind, because this will be the exact same design outside of a couple font changes for the following 2 decades.
Yeah.
Living through some of the greatest NBA moments.
Crazy to think that this happened right before Jordan came in, like a season before Jordan came in. So Jordan played with the same ball that we all know and love his entire career. And then they changed it years later, and that didn't go over so well. I'm more curious about how this ends.
And behind the rise of the NBA is Commissioner David Stern, doing all he can to spread the game internationally and to maintain the game's image. However, everything would come to a crashing halt on November 19th, 2004, as the Detroit Pistons and Indiana Pacers would engage in the biggest brawl in sports history.
Man, I hate the ripple effects of this.
leading Stern to issue the longest suspension in NBA history. Now, the year is 2005. Stern, seeing a problem with the perception of the league that he had worked so hard to uplift, decided to implement one of his most radical changes: the player dress code.
The dress code applies to players at game arenas and while traveling to and from games. Now, consider Richard "Rip" Hamilton. Under the new dress code, he would have 3 strikes. He's wearing a medallion outside his clothing. That is a violation. He is also wearing headgear presumably not approved by his team or, quote, appropriate to the event. And he is not wearing a collared dress shirt or turtleneck.
Though this was a very controversial move, the NBA Players Union was consulted on the decision. In the 2006 NBA Finals, the Miami Heat would come back from a 2-0 deficit to defeat the Mavericks to win their first ever championship. This would be one of the most controversial finals ever because of the allegations of rigging from Mavericks owner Mark Cuban.
Dwayne Wade starts driving to the hoop, every little touch, 2 shots, 2 shots. He literally, multiple games, shot more free throws than our entire team.
David Stern was equally outraged at Dwayne Wade. No, not because of the officiating, but because of his fashion choices, because of his tights. Yes, you heard that right. The league was infuriated that their marquee player and potential future face of the league wore what they deemed hoses. Compound that with the media already poking fun about the perception of NBA players in tights. The following year, the league would ban the wearing of compression tights from players. And unlike the dress code policy, this decision was unilateral, without the consultation of the Players Union.
Damn.
A right that the league had.
You know, I'm not going to say like David Stern didn't make a couple of mistakes here and there. I do still appreciate that he was a boss, though. If he found a problem with something and he's in charge of this something, which is the game of basketball, the NBA, he wasn't afraid to piss players off and just say, nope, this is how it is now. And I don't think I really agree with him on the compression sleeves. Like that, you know, having worn one before post-injury, I know the benefits of it, and it does help a lot. So I don't agree with this move by David Stern, but I still do respect the hell out of the guy. You know, he's saying, that's it. We're all going to do this. Everyone, dress code. Follow the dress code or else you're going to get fined. Look at what the players are wearing nowadays to the games. It's insane. It's insane.
Because of the collective bargaining agreement, allowing the league to alter on-court uniforms. The league believed that players were merely wearing them for the look. A lot of players pushed back and claimed that the tights are for functionality and not for fashion. The league responded by claiming that any player who wanted to wear tights needed a written request from a doctor. As Stern noticed that...
I mean, that's kind of fair. That one's fair. That's a fair compromise. Yeah, because who would be wearing a compression sleeve unless a professional said so? That's how I found out about it.
Pushback against his decisions died down over time. He set upon to make even a greater change. In June of 2006, a mysterious black box would appear on NBA.com with the caption, "Change the way you view the game." Now what's inside the box would change the NBA as we know it forever. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor.
All right.
Everyone is saying that 2025 is going to be different.
Raycons.
Whatever it may be for you, it'll be made easier with the Raycon Everyday Earbuds. These earbuds are the perfect companion for literally everything. I wear these when I edit videos, when I go for walks, and when I listen to podcasts. You know, for this channel, I have to listen to a lot of podcasts. The 32-hour battery life means I'm not constantly looking for a charger, and the active noise cancellation helps me stay focused no matter where I am. I was skeptical about the noise cancellation in the beginning, but it's legit. And check this out. The protective case looks sleek, matches the earbuds perfectly, and supports wireless charging. A quick 10 minutes of charge gives you 90 minutes of battery. So, what are you waiting for? Go to buyraycon.com/woohoops to get 20% off
I don't have them.
site-wide. That's right, you'll get 20% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/woohoops. Now, back to the video.
Yeah, I don't hear anybody complaining
On
about
June
Raycons,
28th, before the NBA draft, the league would also reveal what was inside the black box. A new basketball. A pretty underwhelming end to an endless sea of online speculation. The ball was advertised as the next step in basketball revolution, a ball that did not need to be broken in, and a consistent basketball that will feel the same and bounce the same regardless of condition and surface, something that couldn't have been said for the traditional leather ball. However, in an article by Mark Stein, the reasoning behind the move seemed far more complicated, as Spalding had been urging the NBA to switch to composite model basketball because they were having trouble securing leather. Spalding would later contend that this was not the reason, and that the real reason was that this was just a better basketball, a sentiment that David Stern echoed. Despite all the optimism from the league, there's one thing that didn't happen. You see, despite the fact that the ball was used in the previous year's All-Star game, the ball was only tested by former players. 3 former players to be exact. Mark Jackson, Reggie Miller, and Steve Kerr.
Mark shot his little teardrop. Reggie shot some threes. I mean, we just messed around a little bit for 45 minutes. I really liked it. I liked the feel. I thought it had more grip than the old ball.
That summer, Spalding
Had more grip. Interesting. I mean, okay, just if they were like picking up and shooting like we see Reggie doing, like that's one thing, but I can't find it. But from what I understood, it was slippery on the touch. Like if you're dribbling or if you're trying to catch a pass, that kind of thing.
would send every player in the league a custom ball with their own name engraved on it. Yet, reviews began trickling in, and they were not great.
Steve Nash isn't crazy about it. Wayne Wade said to expect more bricks early in the year, while Shaq slammed it, saying it felt like, quote, one of those toy balls you buy at the toy store.
And despite the fact
I'm sure every basketball feels like that for Shaq, though.
that the material was used at almost every level of play but the NBA, many players complained. The criticism, it bounced differently and was more slippery, they said.
Yeah.
On opening night, NBA TNT will host a segment where a blindfolded Charles Barkley would attempt to find the best feeling basketball out of a rack. This is what happened.
Okay, so which of those balls would you like to play a game with if you had to play tonight?
This one.
You'd like to play with that
Yes.
ball?
Yes.
Look what you chose.
This is an old NBA ball.
Yep.
The leather ball.
Now, one of the main concerns about the new ball is how slippery it would get, which begs the question, why was this not detected during testing?
What we didn't
kidding.
do was play in a pickup game. We don't do that anymore. We didn't sweat. We didn't get to the point where we were actually perspiring, and that's been the complaint that I've heard from the players, that once they start sweating, the ball gets slick.
All right, that was a bad move by the NBA. Yeah, they needed to actually get that in some modern practices, whether it's on a professional level or even like a collegiate level, high school, whatever, boys club. They needed to get some sweat on that ball to simulate what would happen in an actual live NBA game. That's why I was saying when I just saw Reggie shooting threes, I'm like, well, if your hands are dry and the ball is dry, there's no concern. Maybe the ball is good outside of these problems. I never actually got my hands on one. Have any of you actually felt this ball before?
To Kenny, Cheryl, Steve, anybody. They should have got some young guys who are going to run up and down the court to test the ball.
Spalding's vice president for marketing, Dan Tuhey, downplayed the problem and said he guaranteed in 3 weeks the complaints would be forgotten. The National Basketball Players Association was far less enthused, as they've now been alienated from the 2 previous big decisions. This time, they're now investigating the prospect of a protest, saying, quote, "We think both the union and the players should have been consulted." Seeing the displeasure of players, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, who already held a gripe with the league, decided to take matters into his own hands, contacting the UT Arlington's physics department to conduct their own test on how the new ball compares to the old. UTA will begin their study on October 14th. The findings will prove that the players were correct. The new ball was much more unpredictable than the old, bouncing 30% more erratically. The findings will also prove that the players were correct in the assessment of the slipperiness of the new ball. Now, one of the main
I remember watching it live during some games where the ball was just slipping all over the place, and the players were pissed off. I don't remember how long it made it, but let's find out.
Of the new synthetic ball was to maintain the weight through an entire game. That means not absorbing moisture was a priority. but by not absorbing moisture, the moisture actually rises to the surface of the ball, making the ball more slippery. Spalding VP Tuhei fought back and argued that the test couldn't be trusted because the old ball must have been more broken in, and all the differences must be attributed to the surface of the floor. However, on November 12, 2006, the erratic bounce of the ball will be shown to the world. You see, up until this point, complaints about the ball are strictly from a player's perspective. Now, from an audience perspective, when you're watching it on TV, you can't really tell the difference between, whether it's just a bad turnover or it's caused by the erratic bounce of a ball, which is what makes this day so significant, as the New Jersey Nets will be in a road game against the Washington Wizards. Down 3, this is what happens.
Here's Carter for the tie! Yes!
Whoa!
Vince Carter at the buzzer!
What the hell is
From
that?
downtown!
When asked if his shot would have gone in with a leather ball, Carter's response,
Whoa.
Heck no. No way. Unlike the dress code, the controversy would just continue to grow as the season wore on.
Players complain about it a little bit, so they switch the balls, which they never did with the leather ball unless something happened to it.
But it's one
Holy
thing to...
crap. So the referees are kind of overruling it. Dude, that shot is unbelievable. From the 3-point range, it just fell flat like a rock and then rolls into the net. Like, that is not possible.
Dislike the ball functionally speaking, there's also another problem on the rise. Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Jason Terry, Dirk Nowitzki reportedly all claim that they've gotten cuts all over their hands because of the new ball.
Even Steve Nash, who I talked to on Friday, says the ball just tears his fingers up, the new ball.
When Spalding was asked to respond, this time they declined to comment. In a blog post by Mark Cuban, the owner hypothesized that shooters love the ball because of the dead bounce on the rim, and playmakers who rely on the bounce of the ball to make split-second decisions hated the ball. And underneath all of this drama, there's even another problem rising.
Crap.
As anxiety with the new ball is at an all-time high, the NBA had also issued a zero-tolerance policy, cracking down on players' complaints on the court. The NBA that season would see a 46% increase in technical fouls. Player frustration was now at an all-time high, with players like Antonio Daniels even saying, "You never want to feel that the NBA is a dictatorship." All this came to a boiling point on December 1st, 2006, as the Players Union officially files 2 unfair labor practice charges against the league. Seeing the threat of a lawsuit, David Stern finally takes a step back.
Well, the players don't like it, and NBA Commissioner David Stern admits he probably should have talked to them before introducing it.
Yep.
The it we're talking about is the league's new basketball.
On December 11th, David Stern concedes and announces that the NBA will be going back to the leather ball starting January 1st.
That sucks. I feel for him a little bit. I don't like the way he handled this. At the same time, this was supposed to be like an awesome big reveal for him. And it just fell flat on its face.
And then starting against Sacramento, they go back to the leather ball.
But not without some pettiness. Stern would say, although testing performed by Spalding and the NBA demonstrated that the new basketball was more consistent than leather, and statistically there has been an improvement in shooting, scoring, and turnovers, the most important statistic is the view of our players. The players' reception was actually kind of mixed.
I really thought definitely after this season it was going to be changed, but I didn't know it would happen during the season. But I guess a lot of guys were complaining about it.
Los Angeles Lakers head coach Phil Jackson telling the media, without harping on it, I'm glad the commissioner is at least capable of being changeable, as President Bush is on his stance on Iraq.
I think a lot of people got used to it, got comfortable, and I don't think it was that much of an issue anymore.
No, I never really paid that much attention to it, you know what I'm saying? I'm just a player.
Galante.
I'm a player, Greg. And I just play with whatever they put. We're going to play with a sock, we're going to play with a sock.
Despite the NBA going back to the old ball to finish the season, the following 2007-2008 NBA season would see the league invent a new leather ball, implementing the design of the synthetic ball onto the old leather basketball.
The stitching is important too, and I've been meaning to point that out. but the stitching that they have on the attempted new ball, it doesn't complete to the ends here. It kind of goes like that. So then there's a huge gap of space on both poles, essentially, like a North Pole and South Pole, that is just wide open with zero stitching around. And I found that to be a weird design. But apparently nobody cared about that. No one was mentioning that part. But for me, that was the first thing that stood out.
A new old ball. This iteration of the basketball will be in play for the remainder of the David Stern tenure, living through some of the most memorable NBA moments. On May 13th, 2020, the NBA announced that they would be ending their partnership with Spalding, and Wilson, starting from the 2021-2022 NBA season, will become the official NBA basketball once again. Outside of the different logo, the design of the ball has remained pretty much the same, meaning that the legacy of the synthetic ball is still very much alive. Just like when the Spalding ball got introduced, in only the second season with the new basketball, a new all-time scoring leader will be introduced.
LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone.
An uprising commissioner, a new ball, a new all-time scoring leader, and the new face of the league? Well, only time will tell.
That happened last year, right? Last season he broke the record? Yeah, it was. Who got drafted last season? Mr. Wemby, which we did a reaction to earlier today. Interesting. It is kind of interesting. Anyways, the number one thing on my mind right now is there really no way to get away from leather? Is there no substitute material that can actually work in this situation if leather is hard to come by? I'm just curious if anybody has opinions on it, because to me in 2025 it seems like we should be able to find something that would work and do the job, so we don't have to use straight up leather anymore. But maybe I'm just talking out of my ass and I'm full of it. Let me know what you guys think. But once again, this is a really cool video. This channel is 2 for 2. So Mr. Danny Wu here, Wu Hoops, I am quickly becoming a big fan of this channel because it's 2 videos in a row that I've watched that held my attention the whole way, and I learned a lot in each of these videos. So I'm definitely subscribed. I'm just gonna re-verify. Yep, and I'm definitely subscribed, and I'm looking forward to the content that's gonna come from Wu. Hopefully he has enough success to keep doing this. So if you guys enjoyed this and you want to check out more vids from Wu, link is down below for you. So you can go over there, subscribe, check it out, whatever you guys want to do. But the more support a creator gets, the more likely they are to continue their journey of creating content. But anyways, do you guys remember this at all? Because I do remember it. I remember it in game because the commentators were talking about it whenever, say there was a pass and the ball just slipped right off the fingertips of a player, and then players were getting mad. And that's why those technical fouls were going up so much, because they were complaining to the refs, even though the refs can't really do anything about this. They were angry and they had to project that anger somewhere, because they couldn't exactly just call on David Stern and yell at the guy. It didn't work that way. But I definitely do remember that, less so with the shooting, but more so with the ball slipping. But to see how flat that ball hits the rim, like there's no bounce in it at all, that's insane to me. I never saw that before. I don't remember that. And I also never heard that it had a 20% higher chance of just unpredictability in the dribbles, because I never got my hands on that ball, and that would be very weird. I've seen the airless basketball, and that's pretty cool. I would just like to get my hands on it and give it a feel, take some shots, do some dribbling, just to see what that thing feels like, because I just can't possibly imagine that feels like a natural basketball with zero air and with all those like little tiny holes in it. But have any of you ever touched one of those? Anyways, lots of stuff to talk about in the comments tonight. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Like the video if you haven't done so yet. It helps out a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Hit the bell notification if you want to be notified for tomorrow morning's video. And everybody have a peaceful night. I will see you tomorrow. I'll see you in the comments, really. All right. Peace out, everybody.